Hello, welcome to Research College. We're in the construction department today, and I'm Andrew Gould, I'm the head of construction. And this video is brought in partnership with the charity Building Heroes, which we help run a property maintenance course for military veterans. So today I'm going to go over some of the tools and equipment that you're going to need to repair a damaged brick, for take out a brick, and then we'll make it good as well and put a new brick in there. But first of all, I want to cover some of the things that you're going to need, some of the tools, some of the PPE. So obviously on any building site you'd be wearing steel toe cap boots anyway. You don't want anything dropping on your feet. Some building sites obviously will also insist on high-vis and hard hats, which I'm already wearing. So if I'm going to be using any power tools of any description and there's a risk of flying debris, then I'm going to need my safety goggles. So these are safety glasses, they're shatter resistant. Obviously you can wear the full face goggles. They tend to get steamed up a little bit, so they can potentially be a bit of a hazard. Safety glasses are a really good alternative. Also obviously we're going to need a dust mask because there's going to be a lot of dust about, and we need to protect ourselves. Silica dust, which is the dust that's generated from concrete, brick, mortar, is one of the biggest killers in the construction industry at the moment. So it's really important that we protect ourselves. So wearing the PPE is absolutely 100% critical. So you've got to make sure you've got the right dust mask and they fit on the face correctly. It's not just a case of putting them on. You need to make sure you pinch the top so it goes around the nose and protects yourself as best as you possibly can. Now I've also got a pair of gloves, and you might be thinking, why on earth do I need to wear a pair of gloves? And that's because once we finish with the drilling, we're going to be using a hammer and a chisel. Now if your hand-eye coordination isn't as good as it could be, I will guarantee that you'll find yourself hitting your thumbs, hitting your hand and missing the top of the chisel. Wearing the gloves will just give that extra layer of protection, so hopefully you won't get too many cuts and bruises. They're only thin, but they do offer some protection, so really important. Next we're going to show you the lump hammer. This is a 3-pound lump hammer, so it's not too heavy. You can get some that are a lot heavier, but if you're wielding one of these all day, you'll end up with arms like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it's really important that you get one that's comfortable for you, the right weight for you to use. So a 3-pound is a really good one to start. The next chisel, the next tool we're going to need is a chisel called a plug-in chisel. Okay, and I'll come a little bit closer. So basically this is a chisel that goes into the joint of the brick and clean it out. So as you can see, it's got a lovely flat blade, so that means it slides into the 10mm joint and you can clear the joint out free from debris, and it's not going to damage the brickwork. Okay, now some people may try and use the bolster because it's a little bit quicker, because it's got a nice long blade, so you're going to get more of the joint out. The problem with using a bolster is, as you can see down there, it gets thicker towards the bottom. So if you drive that into the joint of the brickwork, where it gets thicker at the heel, it's going to jam in the brickwork and it's going to break and spalch the bricks that you hopefully are going to stay in. So if you damage the brick, you then end up taking another brick out. So you just keep going on forever. So it's really important that you use the right tools, and this isn't one of them. Okay, so now I'm going to be using a method called stitch drilling. And basically what that means is I'm going to drill a series of holes all the way around the joint of the brick I want to take out. Now that's because it creates less dust, most importantly. It is a bit longer, but what you'll find is if you try use an angle grinder or a disc cutter to cut the joint, it doesn't go all the way in because the blade isn't deep enough to go in the 4-inch of the brickwork. So you'll find yourself whizzing around with an angle grinder really quickly, and then bashing and bashing and bashing forever, and potentially you're going to break more bricks. So the stitch drill, yes, it's a little bit more long-winded, but it is the preferred method, certainly with most bricklayers. So for the stitch drilling, I'm going to need a power drill, which I've got here. I'm going to need a 7mm drill bit. And it's important that you choose the diameter of the drill bit that's smaller than the joint that you want to take out, because again, if it's too wide, it's going to damage the brickwork, which you don't want to do. Now, as you can see here, I've got a handle on the side of the drill. That's really important that it's in position, because you need to hold the drill like that, okay? And that's really important. This isn't here for decorative purposes. This is here because when you're drilling, If I was holding the drill incorrectly like that, because this casing is going to get hot, so potentially going to burn my hand. This is a moving part, and if I'm not careful, my hand's going to slip and I'm going to burn and cause an abrasion on my hand. So holding it there whilst really comfortable ain't the way to do it. But if you were to do that and the brickwork snagged, the drill is going to flick round and that's going to hit you on the underside of the chin, and you're going to think you've done 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. So it's absolutely vital that you hold the drill correctly, because then if it did kick, you've got both hands on there to stop any twist. Vitally important. Now, before using any drill or any tool, electrical equipment, any equipment of any sort, to be fair, even hand tools, you've got to check it. So I'm looking over the body of the drill to make sure there's no cracks, there's no missing parts, everything looks in order, battery's working, it's secure, so I'm happy that that's okay. Now again, I'm using a cordless drill because I just find it a lot easier. From a health and safety point of view, you've got no trailing cables, so again there's less trip hazards, you can be move about, it's a lot more portable obviously, so I prefer those. Now if you were using a corded drill like I've got here, then again the same checks on the body of the drill are required, but most importantly, if you're using a corded cable, then you've got to check the cable. So you start with the plug. I'm checking the pins of the plug to make sure that they're all okay, they're not loose, they're not bent. I'm checking the casing of the plug, make sure there's no cracks or splits in that, and then I'm going to go down the entire length of the cable, checking that there's no cuts or splits in the cable, because if there is, and there's potentially any bare wires, then you're putting yourself at risk of an electric shock. So it's absolutely vital that you complete this test accurately, because you don't know, one, who's had the drill before and have they been as careful as you, or you might have stored it incorrectly in the back of the van or in your tool shed and it's got damaged while it was in storage. So really important that you take them checks every time that you use a drill. So that's okay. If you pick a cable up and it's got insulation tape round, do not use it. That means that somebody has made a bodged repair on a drill and potentially you could still get an electric shock. So if there's anything wrong with the drill, you take it to the site manager, you report it, you do not use it, you put it out of harm's way so nobody else can use it. And that's all the tools and equipment that we need. So in a second we'll get right on to actually showing you how we do stitch drilling.